last time?
I think I will tie with Emmy, but I'm quite happy to share the top spot with them. I can't go wrong there.
It's a good thing you're not on the TV program Golden Balls.
Yes.
You'd be the kind of split person at the
split.
end.
I'd want to share.
I'd steal.
I have absolutely no doubt. I wouldn't split with you.
Good shout.
I wouldn't split with you for a second.
I'm glad you know me so well.
I'd see us both go home with nothing.
So I think we need to explain this because I imagine a lot of people haven't watched it. It's a game show where like a bunch of people play and get knocked down to the final two. And then at the end, you have to pick between the split ball or the steel ball. If you both pick split, you split the winnings. But if one of you take split and the other takes steel, you take everything. If you both steal, then you outright lose all the money.
I would honestly
I tell you what, could you imagine Golden Ball's talent team would be hilarious.
Wouldn't it just? I'll tell you what's not going to be hilarious, Des. This last matchup between CYCLOPS and Talon, because it's all on the line.
We didn't talk about Golden Balls already. I was enjoying that.
There's a lot to play for here. It's all on the line. We are going to be seeing an absolute classic, I'm sure, on Clubhouse. Both teams with a lot to fight for. The bans have rained in. Thatcher, Hibana, Mira, Wamai. No major upset surprises. Nothing completely weird or out of place there.
I like how today we've seen, and I know this is a very staple ban in the mirror, right? But think back to Cafe a couple of games ago. We spoke about Mantis banning that away to target ban out the cigar shop hold that we often see Japanese teams employing. Fav and Guts have both run it throughout the stage, and it was a good counter to Fav. In this game, the mirror, at the very least, really lessens the strength that you'll see coming into a bar stage defense, because many teams will run upstairs to inside a gym bedroom. They'll stick a mirror facing jacuzzi. They'll have one facing from logistics down into construction, and that helps give you a really solid hold on the top floor. But I think that mirror ban is going to deny that being a thing, so I don't expect we'll see too much bar on stage. If we do, I'm really keen to see what the defense looks like.
Mike in Suzuki's Tiger headband there, ready for a fight today, obviously. Coming in, going to fight tooth and nail.
I said we won't see much of it, but we're on that site. So this is what I was on about. This is what I'm keen to see. So immediately looking at the lineup, double Intel operator. The Valkyrie and the Maestro on side. They've got the Castle here as well. Now, whether that gets committed inside of the ground floor, if they go upstairs and make it a much more solidified hold up there, is an entirely different question. We'll see where he starts out, at least here, opening up some walls inside a strip, I imagine. So you've got underneath the castle barricade that will put on this doorway. It's quite cheeky, does give you an option to deny the wall, because some teams do like to attack through there, open up pool, and then look to assault into bar from the west. Others will come in from off towards the east side, look to come in and push their way through the main door, coming in through stock, and then make their push in and go for a plant tucked away, either right next to the bomb itself, or by the solid wall down towards the south side of the room. So by the looks of it, yes, castle barricades all going down on the ground floor, and then I'm keen to see how long they can hold the top floor, because as we've seen so many times over, that is where teams then really start to struggle.
That's it. You've got to hold on to those verticals. We've seen just how important they can be, not only in preventing the diffuser going down, but potentially in retaking as well, if necessary. So we've got Black Ray starting things out on the garage balcony. So quite a widespread top floor hold here from CYCLOPS. There's going all the way out to garage, trying to prevent access into CCTV cache. Soldier with the drone coming through, going to spot out Black Ray there. They know he's present. He needs to be very careful here, because the pressure is going to mount as Soldier looks across, and I'm not sure Black Ray knows that he's going to be challenged from this angle, Des.
Doesn't even respect the angle, and unlucky for Soldier to take himself out of ADS at the exact moment that he steps inside of his line of sight. Now Black Ray should be conscious of this as well, being challenged from one, but gets the kills at the door.
Cannot be allowed to get
that should not be a thing. It does get traded out. It's not the end of the world, but still a kill that you look at and go, that really could have been avoided.
Really cannot be allowed to be picking that up. Black Ray there taking out the Maverick as well of Demic, so that is at least some of the hard breach capability of the team. There is still Thermite on side. There's a Flores with the Rotero drones to clear out any sort of utility that may be causing difficulties, but still the Maverick with those nades, with that blowtorch, could have been an impactful operator on this one. So they're going to have to play without it. 4 versus 4 halfway through the round. Soldier and the rest of Talon are slowly taking control over the top floor, but they don't quite have it yet, Des.
No, they don't. And this is my worry is, well, looking at it without a mirror, this should be not a straightforward task, but arguably considerably easier than what it would be if there were mirrors stationed up. However, mirror is quite a not so much an EU invention, but an EU preference, so maybe they can make this work. You're seeing the underneath of these castle barricades being played that we spoke about earlier on. One onto the main door, one out towards pool, but with the above being opened up, Suzuki knows it is time to bail. Can't challenge underneath at least the main door one, so as he can step in, knock it out, and at this point, they're basically ignoring the top floor and saying, look, we can have one or two up there to challenge at the very least, but we haven't got to worry about a full clear.
Anaton's been forced back, and his position is particularly important, Des, because he was playing next to the hatch inside of logistics, inside of construction, and that's the only angle they've got to challenge realistically onto that bar plant now that they've forced the members inside a site away and back beyond bar. So there is an opportunity here for Talon to be able to get the bomb down. Soldier with an absolute freebie onto Ayagator as he tries to move up on the flank. Suzuki goes as well to Aziz, and that now leaves us 2 versus 4, and Anaton has to hold on to this position. He's the one that can prevent this diffuser going down, but if they come into the position as you mentioned, Des, exactly there but what a great drop from Anaton. He gets himself 3. Can he make it 4? No, we find ourselves 1 versus 1, but time could win this as Gatarada keeps himself safe, and that's going to be CYCLOPS taking round 1, but it was only really due to that drop from Anaton that they were able to get that one done.
Oh, you figured they'd know as well, because they knew Anaton was upstairs. He was dancing around. They saw him on drones, for example, but opted to ignore him, and ignoring someone not wanting to clear them is okay, as long as you've got the flank drone set up, as long as someone is watching or ready to trade, but being able to drop through a hatch right in the middle of your attack, kill 3 people and end the round from there is just a bit of a sign of, I suppose, lacking foresight on the side of Talon and not being able or equipped to deal with that. CYCLOPS get the first round on the back of Anaton with a little bit of help from the clock at the very end.
Second time today, Des, that we've seen a Valkyrie drop a hatch and...
I mean, one was with a shotgun.
And just murder everybody inside. It's the second time today that we've seen that.
Dropped through the cigar shop hatch, I believe it was.
Certainly did, and this
murdered
time...
everyone.
This time it was the construction hatch down to bar stage. We've just got the replay of that playing out as well as Anaton drops down, manages to find 2. As I say, without getting control of construction, I'm not really sure where Talon were hoping to get the diffuser down, because as much as Anaton can't make a challenge from that hatch directly onto the planter, he can just drop down and take them out. I think we saw there bad timing coming in from Talon. You saw the bullets raining down from the hatch afterwards. He's not gone in quick enough and made that challenge.
That's Gatarada just slightly losing his man for a couple of seconds. This is like the guy in a game of football who escapes his man on the defence, gets a header and puts it in the back of the net, right? It's a game of like very slight margins, because he was only dropped for all of 2 or 3 seconds, but the red pings that came through helped to know immediately where to flip to, and it was 3 great kills coming out of Anaton. So I don't want to say a good start for CYCLOPS, because it did look shaky, but they managed to make it work. They got the kills they needed, and Talon are still the ones who have got to find something in this game. Now inside of the basement, we've got the Kapkan and the Legion joining us for a party. I always love talking about the Kapkan. As soon as you know there is 1 trap present, there are 4 more scattered around, and you'll be watching every doorway you go through, double droning it all, and, well, hell hath no fury like Kapkan drones undroned, or what's the one looking for
EDDs.
Here? EDDs is the one I'm after. EDDs undroned or unaware of, especially when you get to the point of execution with 20 seconds on the clock. It can all crumble when you go stepping into one of those on half HP.
Black Ray once again just trying to hold down Garage there, but this time he's going to dip away and he's going to keep his life intact but not get the big opener that he did last time around. Soldier not willing to allow anybody on the balcony of Garage there to survive this time. Does take a pot shot, but will only find an alibi decoy. Pinged out for a couple of seconds. Isn't going to hurt him as there's nobody there to challenge, and Talon making good progress of taking control of the top floor.
But as always, there is a CYCLOPS member or two just looking to be Mr. Problematic. It's Gatarada in this instance. He may find himself a bit squeezed out if he's not too careful. Might just run into the waiting jaws of the sledge, who's holding not too far away. At this point, I think he knows he might be dead to rights, but the more time he can waste, the better. It's not going to stop Black Ray finding the opener onto Demix, so whilst they're worrying about the Legion on the top floor, elsewhere, there are still kills flying back through. A great swing in from Azzy brings things down to 4 apiece. But again, you look at it and think, well, you've gone 1 for 1 so far. Half the round is gone. This is like a dream start for CYCLOPS once again.
That Maverick kill is going to be more impactful this time than it was last time around.
What did I
goes
say?
As well. Ayagator picking up the kill with that Kapkan EDD. Just managing to get him as he comes in through the door. As you say, it can just burn so much. He's actually gone through 2 of those traps and just triggered both of them, losing his life. And that's a big mistake at this level, Des. We've got to call it.
I always say it again. Like, if you're... Hell hath no fury like an EDD undroned. At least this time around I managed to say it properly. If they're not dealt with properly, they will catch you in late moments in the round. In this case, it's mid-round rather than anything else. Just a little bit of laziness being shown, you might want to say. Black Ray taking fight into Soldier inside a lounge, but Soldier wins those 4-0 so far across the 2 rounds and a prolific start. However, can anything save this round? They've got 30 seconds into 3 versus 3, 2 of them bottom of main stairs. Anaton switched over to playing on the C4, which I think he was on the impacts in the prior round. And again, another EDD goes off. That's 3.
Got to be finding them, cannot be triggering them like that time after time. Exothermic charge is going to open up the church. It's absolutely not. As Heady gets dropped and finished off there, Des, they can only work through doorways here. No hatches open. Canos. Here comes Soldier down the blue stairs. Canos trying to push in directly. Ayagator gets his man and Anaton gets the other. And that's going to be round 2 for Cyclops. And they're certainly looking better than many of the matchups that we've seen them in stage 3 so far.
At least it wasn't going to be 4 EDDs because they did clear the one off the moto door leading in towards Church, but one of those rounds where they spend so much time trying to deal with the roamers that ultimately it's completely ran them out of the clock. So round 1, they didn't so much ignore the roamers. They had one man, Gadarada, tasked with watching him upstairs and not doing the best job, as we saw the 3K come out of Anaton. Round 2, they do try and deal with the roamers and find themselves running out of time on the clock. It leads to them being 0 and 2 down. We've got to see one of these 2 styles of dealing with roamers work out for them. Because as good as, Cyclops have been historically, we know this is one of their low points right now. They're not playing the best this stage compared to what they've done historically, and their playstyle hasn't changed massively. It's still Black Ray being the primary roamer for them, getting out on the map and trying to cause trouble, often joined by Gadarada or Anaton as well. It's I don't want to say fully predictable playstyle, because roamers themselves can be inherently unpredictable, but surely there's something in here where Talon have done enough studying and know what needs to be done to bring down Cyclops.
Suzuki on the Vulcan shields there, just deploying them as the Goyo. Again, trying to front up towards that potential hot tub breach. Talon not made a great job so far of being able to get themselves established comfortably inside of the map. So again, Cyclops just bringing along that utility to try and make that as difficult as possible. Black Ray's had very important opening kills in both round 1 and 2. 2 particularly. Taking down the Maverick just completely removed the ability really for Talon to think about getting many, if any, hatches, because they wanted the exothermic charge to the church wall, so that left them only 1 spare to play with, and as it was, they didn't end up opening any hatches and made it very difficult for them to push directly into sight. So let's see if Demic can keep himself alive into the round a little bit more this time. Needs to be using that utility. The blowtorch we haven't even had fired up yet. The nades have not been raining in, and it's been a big loss for Talon.
Yeah, it hasn't looked pretty so far, that's for sure. Remembering, of course, there's always the ever-present threat of a Kaid coming out, which is why the Maverick is being picked up so much here. Thatcher banned away, but not Kaid, often does invite some kind of electrification play. Well, as of yet, haven't really seen any. As he's taking the long trade, or the long angle, sorry, on towards Gadarado, not yet finding the kill, of which Gadarado also has not found any in the game. Not a big deal, it's more of a starting point, but you can see the roaming playstyle coming out with the impact nades back in pocket once again. Those being dropped away here compared to the C4 that we saw coming out of Anaton earlier on.
Just using that Valkyrie for the roam. Need to be careful with the MPX, not the best gun at long range, so need to try and find slightly shorter range engagements if possible. Give yourself every advantage to win them. One flash is not going to make it all the way through, I don't think there. The second one will, but Ayagator's just going to keep himself laser focused on there in case a Rotero drone comes in, but it'll actually be a nade that does the job of clearing out the mute jammer. We have the jacuzzi wall breach, the drones are going in, and it certainly looks like Talon are mounting up for this west-sided push. They've got the diffuser over there in the hands of Heady, and so far largely have ignored Cash and CCTV.
And this cam on the outside does get shot out and spotted, otherwise Gadarado was really fancying himself a run out. No opportunity to do as much here with it removed though, so going to head himself back inside the map and look to keep himself alive for at least a little longer. It is still a 5 versus 5, it's worth mentioning, Tim, as we come towards that final 60 seconds or so. It's time to tango on the side of Talon. They've got the wall open, they've got some kind of push into the site. My fear that once again, it's looking a little bit one-dimensional at this point. They want the breach to work for them. They haven't strictly got the CC control that they need to be able to play on the south balcony, and it's a little bit late to start turning your attentions there now, although Soldier is going to try and do his best. C4 4, narrowly missing away from the man outside the breach.
For the first time this game, Talon have been able to pick up that opening kill, but Anaton gets the trade, and this is why you need CCTV control, Des. As you said, you got to have it, otherwise you're going to lose men on the windows. It is an easy peak. Gatarada going in for a challenge onto the rooftop as well, but Aziz doing all the work now from this jacuzzi wall breach. He's going to get challenged hard, and there they go, one after another in the corridor. A big play from Anaton there, ultimately shut down, but still the damage is done. 1 versus 2. It's all down to Aziz now. 10 seconds left to go. He knows he's going to have to find these kills. Des, he's pushing for 1. He can't get him as Suzuki shuts him down. That's going to be CYCLOPS 3-0. They've locked down Bar Stage, Church Arsenal, Gym Bedroom. They are unstoppable right now.
Again, it's one of those for Talon though, right? It's very one-dimensional. It's not dealing with the roamers. They had double peaks coming out, one from the CC window, which is the crux of any attack. You need to have control of that to be able to play on the master window, to even look at construction window or gym window. You gain so much control, but no one was there. They were just dealing with only pushing in through the breach, and you saw the shutdown. That led to Anaton with another big round coming out. Steps up to 7-2, as he himself up to about 5-3 after his 3K in the same round, but ultimately the score is what everyone will remember. A 3-0, and Bar and Stage is going to return once again for CYCLOPS.
6th pick, Castle picked onto Castle. Just some mental games.
Really debated me there.
Mental games being played there because, of course, all that the attackers know, again, anybody maybe not as familiar with the 6th pick phase, you get an opportunity to change out 1 operator. So your initial 5 picked are displayed to the enemy team. They can have a look at them. They know exactly which operators you're bringing. But then you have the opportunity to switch one of them out, and the enemies are not notified as to who the replacement is. So they could well see the Castle. They think, oh, no, the 6th picking the Castle away, but then he gets brought anyway. So it's just all little mental games being brought in.
And what Ubi has spoke about quite a lot lately for the game is that attackers will be able to repick during the droning phase at some point. So it's not just one change potentially, it could be a whole lineup shift, which will make things really spicy if that does come to light. Let's see how this site plays out though. That Kaid is now on site. I mentioned that we might see it at some point with the Thatcher being banned away. The Maverick is still present, although not being used to the effect that we would have hoped for as it stands. We spoke about this earlier on. Demic, being caught on the rip a couple of times. 0-3 so far. Nades haven't flown. Blowtorch barely used. It's got to start at some point.
Interesting placement of the electrical there. Anaton almost goes to reinforce the hatch, but part of it had been shot out and the electrical placed inside it, and I imagine that would probably damage and clear off the electrical. So thinking better of it and just dipping away. Soldier's going to find Blackray, who tries to bring that early round aggression again, but he's going to fail this time. Des is going to get himself shut down for the 2nd round in a row as that entry death. So Talon, they have the man advantage once again. It didn't matter last round. Will it matter this round? They are attacking onto Bar and Stage again. Last time, if you remember, they were hurt by Anaton dropping that hatch in construction. Talon have to remember that. They have to recall. They have to do it differently. Shut down, get control of the top floor before they try to go for that plant.
It's about getting all these castle barricades removed. They've got the one in kitchen, which gives Gadarada something to worry about, but the man has long left is the only way it can be described. Previously, it was the Valkyrie up here. The re-barricade will at least give him the noise indicator if someone does try to push that way again, so at least his backside's a bit safer when he's facing in towards the site. And it's quite different to the EU style that we've seen of Bar Stage so far, Ace, where normally we'd have 3-4 players playing off-site and just one left all by his merry lonesome on-site itself. Here, they've got 2 or 3 actually playing on the ground floor.
Anaton, again, just trying to be mobile, trying to get up and down between the floors. It's something that he's done well so far on the Valkyrie. Aziz is just breaking out of the garage there to take himself onto a new angle, potentially pushing that main door. But Talon are not in a bad position here, Des. They've got the lounge control. They've got a man in at the main door there. They're sort of ready to go in for this plant. My concern, again, is the top floor. Look, Iagator, he's sat right on top of the hatch. It's a matter of time until he finds this Maverick.
Surely he sees him crouch down a second as well, but droned out here. They've got to know about this, and that should be the warning for Demic to get the hell out of Dodge. Now, they've had their feet shot at a number of times underneath the castle barricades. It's not going to be a similar story for the Maverick. Holes as he strikes yet again a second. Suzuki falling down, a 5 versus 3, and this is where CYCLOPS could start getting a little bit skittish, Ace, because they know they've got to make something happen or the pressure will just build up. But the clock is no one's friend. 30 seconds Talon now have to work with.
Anaton's got the information that he needs. He He knows he's going to get peaked. He gets the kill, but very important trade for Demic there as the bullets fly at the same time, cross in the air, and both find their targets. Both go down, but ultimately that removes the top floor presence from CYCLOPS. It should now be possible for Heady to get this diffuser down. He goes rushing in. He's going to plant next to the vending machine. Soldier gets the kill, and surely this is over now. It's all up to Ayagator. He's trying to push in from the top of blue stairs, but he can't go anywhere as Aziz closes him down, and that's going to be the first round that Talon managed to attack successfully.
Big round from Aziz, ultimately coming down to the roam clear from some help coming out of Soldier too. Just a little bit dicey at parts with the Maverick wall being opened up, for example, and the fear of, oh God, there's someone above, what happens next? Roaming Maestro, a new one in my book, Tim. Don't think I've seen that before.
It's, I think, only something that comes out when necessary.
The secret weapon the teams deploy, the Alder on their own.
Let's just go with the Alder.
You'll hear me coming, but you can't win a gunfight against me is what the belief is, I think. Ultimately paying off for them. Well, not paying off for them, but paying off for Talon. With a bit of a wonky ideal roam towards the late stages of the game. Let's see how this next round plays out, though. Talon now bringing along the Jackal as well, picking out the IQ, which should go some way to helping them deal with the craziness that we've seen, because, again, Anaton, Gadarada, Black Ray out on the roam, causing trouble. Big difference in this round is that you got Anaton stepping across onto the Echo, so going for a more dug-in position here, rather than being a roamer out and about around the map, instead diverting away to Gadarada and Black Ray to make that happen.
Going to be on the basement for the penultimate defensive round of CYCLOPS here. Black Ray setting up the deployable shield down there just at the bottom end of Armory, but we'll see how aggressively he gets out on the roam. He is playing the alibi again, and he's certainly been getting in and around the map, but he's not had much joy in the last couple of rounds, just adjusting the position of his decoy there, looking to try and get a ping. This could be a clever play. If he gets the ping coming out from somebody challenging onto that window, and he's at garage door, it could give him some crucial information. But he's not there quite yet.
Black Ray's just got to be aware, if he's playing up here on the catwalk, we saw how round one worked out, right? He's being pinched out by Garage Door, by Soldier coming in through the breach. Lots of things to work against him, and
that's exactly what he was waiting for.
This one way to test your luck. Like, fortunate for him that they didn't land the shots, but also unfortunate in that Talon had just come running out of the spawn and were ready to take the challenge. Of course, no one actually going down, so more of a near miss than anything else. However, that should give a little bit of agency now to Talon to start making their move forward.
Crucial drone in from Talon. They got the drone in through the blue stairs window, and they were able to identify that the alibi in the window was a decoy, and that immediately gave them the heads up that the challenge was likely to come from garage door. So it was really nicely played from Talon there, and that's the sort of attention to detail that you need at the beginning of these rounds to avoid things running away from you, to avoid those early deaths.
Time though, right? They've spent 60 seconds droning around CC, around garage, and the wide swing coming in as well, not quite landing onto either side. Again, they've missed each other so much in this round, but you just know Demic isn't the one you want taking this gunfight. The two nades, the blowtorch, the hard breach, they sorely need it. They will find the kill. So just like in the last round, Soldier and Demic coming in big at the start, getting 2 kills and getting the round underway. Gadarada taking one back as the Yokai at his feet is going to guide him on the way in. They see the man, but he can't win the gunfight. Azzy just a little bit too quick off the rip on that one.
Anaton just trying to buzz around with the Yokai drone, gather as much information as possible, but they know they're in a pressure cooker right now, Des. They're on the basement, and they've got the Alder, they've got the Maestro, they've got the Echo on hand, but that is going to be it. And the problem with being in a 2 versus 4 with the Echo is that now his ability to use those Yokai drones, one of his most powerful tools, is limited. With a minute 10, a minute 15 left to go, sure, he can buzz around, he can stun a few people, but when it comes down to those final 20 seconds, when diffusers might go down, they might just desperately need him on his gun. And so it's a difficult balance to find for the Echo now.
So I think really if they'd, lost one on the roam and got themselves back to site, it would have been okay. You've burnt through a minute and a half, 2 minutes, good. Now you're going to make Talon sweat when it comes to the execute. But by having 3 out there that all die and leaving it to a 4 versus 2, Talon are just like, right, do it by the book, boys. We've got such a significant advantage here. We double their man count. There's nothing to panic about. Take it properly, do it the way that we should be doing it, and we'll walk away the winner here. However, down to 20 seconds, this is when the pressure has got to start boiling up on their side now. Make the push forward. The intel being sought out, I imagine, by the Evil Eyes, some by the Yokais, and here comes Demic down. Do they know that he's tucked into the corner? I believe that he should. Finds one, swings onto the nets, can't find him. A 1 versus 3 sets in. Anaton had such a game so far, but can he do the rest? Plant is going down. Will he peel off here and try and go for the spray down? They have no idea where he is. Gets onto the Yokai. Can they see him? Yes, they can, but it wasn't in the right spot. Gets the blast and wins the round! No way does he pull that off from behind the bar, right under the noses of Talon, and CYCLOPS take another round.
I'm so glad that that has happened in a way, Des, because if you remember earlier in the round, I said that the Echo now has a really difficult balancing act to play between being active in the gunfights and being active on the yokai. And boy, did he just balance that perfectly. He was stood on a tightrope, 100 feet in the air, but comfortable, confident, and just absolutely thriving in that position.
That's incredible. I mean,
it was beautiful play. Absolutely, hats off. Beautiful play. Got the yokai drone hidden in the perfect location, preempted the plant spot, and then was able to hit the shot with probably, half a second left to go. Absolutely wonderful.
Nerves of steel is the best way I can describe it. When you know that they're pushing in, they're planting, a couple of meters to your right-hand side.
Yep.
There's 3 of them. They could swing you at any moment. And you think, do I go for it? No. Get back on drone. Let's take these 5 seconds here to get myself, get the camera out, get the yokai down from the ceiling, redeploy it, and get the shot off. I really thought we'd see Anaton swing, because that's what he's been doing throughout a lot of the game, but showing the composure that is so pivotal to win big rounds. And look at how much time he's got as well. Yokai drops down. They don't hear it at this point. And look at the diffuser. 0 point. Oh. What is it with close diffuser timers in the last few weeks? That was like...
We'll need it even
20
slower.
milliseconds.
I think we'll need it even slower than that to get it down to the final frame. But it was extremely close again. That's the takeaway message there. But what a great play from Anaton on the Echo. Deserves all the plaudits that come his way for that one. It was absolutely beautiful to watch. Now BlackRay half health there. He's taken some damage somewhere during that setup. That looks like a shotgun blast, if you ask me. If I had to guess, potentially maybe an impact nade. There is. No, there's still 2 impact nades in the pocket of Gatorada, so it must have been Irrigator. Yeah. Must have been.
Unfortunate.
It happens. It happens.
Call it a handicap, right? I tell you what, if there was there is a Flores. I was just about to say, if there was a Flores inside and I wasn't looking in the bottom right corner of my screen, you're drawn to that like a fly to UV lights. You see the jammers, you see 3 ADS, and you think, you know what? That looks great for my gadget. Now, keep a close eye on that, because if that gets removed away, that is so much utility to all lose in one go.
That's it. If you're going to play all that utility so close together, knowing that they've been bringing the Flores, you've got to actively protect it. Now then, Logistics Hatch going to be burst wide open. Soldier, he's going to burst BlackRay wide open, Des, and that is another opening death for BlackRay. 3 out of 6 rounds so far, and it could start to hurt his team. They've been able to get rounds over the line without him, but surely it'd be easier with him.
Soldier has had his number all game, except for round 1 where he kind of danced around. And sure, Soldier got the kill, but it was after BlackRay had already found 1. But since then, I think BlackRay has struggled to have an impact. He's 2-6 at this point. Soldier 8-2 has just dealt with him. Has been very patient in the early round, letting BlackRay move about and do what he wants, but has always had a response. It's wonderful to see that teams can deal with that aggressive playstyle that is so synonymous with the APAC region.
Gatorada just challenging on towards that external kitchen door. Nobody there for the time being. Talon are stacking up on the jacuzzi wall here. They've got their man advantage. The drones are going in, looking to clear utility now, looking to clear men out of bathroom, and they're going to do it. That's beautiful. As it's just bouncing the nade off the roof there, finding the angle and finding the kill. 2 inside a bathroom, just rushing in quickly. I'm not sure if Suzuki's aware, but he manages to react well and find the first shutdown in a trade by Aziz. But once again, this just going back and forward. 2 versus 2 now. Aziz, he's got himself in behind that defender utility. He's actually using the Vulcan shield ahead of them, and Gatorada's trying to push back from main stairs. Anaton needs to use this opportunity and does to get himself past. Finds 1. Can he find the second? He switches to pistol. As you say, just needs to bide his time here, but taking the challenge, losing it, it doesn't matter, as it allows Gatorada to get in and get that trade. 5-1 now to CYCLOPS. They're cruising their way towards victory.
Great first half. Yeah, I mean, a couple of rounds we mentioned, Talon really struggling to deal with the roamers, and they kind of warmed into it. A good few rounds, they would find themselves in a 5 versus 3, but losing whilst ahead. Oh, it gives me major flashbacks to SI back in May with, Cloud9 being what? Plus 29 on entry across the whole thing, but still losing the majority of rounds. Talon have lost from being in a commanding position several times over, whether it comes down to a clutch, whether it comes down to a late round flank, whether it comes down to the gunfights like we just saw in the round then. That'll be a half they look back at and say, that was really in our power to win. and we've gone on to lose it. Unfortunate, they've got a lot of work to do in the second half if they want to fight their way back in. Otherwise, CYCLOPS will cruise on through and end their season at least on a high.
Valkyrie camera positioned inside a construction. Then Talon's first defense is going to be up on the top floor. Same site as the one that we've just seen for CYCLOPS' final defense. CYCLOPS able to get the win. We'll see if Talon can do as well. They've got, as I say, one Valkyrie cam positioned inside a construction, so they're obviously expecting some attention coming in from the east side, but it's not something that they really did themselves there, as they've played almost completely from that jacuzzi wall when Talon have been on the attack. They haven't pushed the east side at all. I'm interested to see whether that's a choice that CYCLOPS take or whether they get themselves straight up there and get it opened and on their way in. They do have Suzuki with the Selma charges on the ace. They've also got the Maverick of Gatorada, so plenty of hard breaching options so long as they keep those two alive.
And as always mentioning, we love seeing the Kai being brought out. Maverick then becomes a reliance on the other side. I'll still never forget Anderton's 4K charging in through blue on Oregon on the decade with the MK14, you remember?
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was nuts, as he has been throughout the majority of this game, terrorizing people with Monty drop shots at the last major, and then here, well, putting on one hell of a performance to begin.
You can hear that gun just absolutely ringing out already. Then I like the speed coming in here from CYCLOPS. We've got Gatorada already opening up that billiards window, just looking to apply some pressure. Black Rays established inside a bar. Pretty sure they're aware of Canos on the downstairs. Irrigator's going looking for him. He might just hold the angle there to try and force him away into one of his teammates, or at least not allow him to rotate back up the main stairs. But a little bit of a standoff. Canos been very quiet so far today, Des.
Yeah, it's been a weird one for a couple of people, I think. You know, Heady's down on 0 and 5, kind of expected as the supportive role that he's in. Black Ray at 2 and 6, not really used to those performances out of him. It does give others a chance to step into the limelight, you know, Azzy, a player that we've picked up more often than not on the side of Talon. Anderton, much the same story. And Canos undoing into CYCLOPS, something that Black Ray has used a couple of times already in the last half, only he did get shut down from the angle by Soldier. Here, at least, Talon are the benefactor from that sport. Well, not really a spawn peak, but a mid-round peak.
You can't be losing men to that one. That's, yeah. It's a bit of a ranked angle almost, is that? Just go and knock out the wall in Dirt Tunnel. You've got to be aware of it. And Gatorada just leaving his head peeking up. Obviously, when you're trying to open up the wall, there is a point where you have to get towards the edge if you're doing it as the Maverick. But if that's the case, you've got to have somebody watching that angle. And they've been punished there. Canos could come back to punish them doubly here, Des, as he's moving through the bottom. And I'm pretty sure he's aware of Irrigate. He definitely is. He knows the man is there. He goes for the pre-fire. But somehow, Irrigator steps out aggressively and finds that headshot onto Canos, taking him down and levelling things up 4-4. But the problem here could be the clock, Des. There's only 45 seconds left to go, and CYCLOPS still not really established in a position to put this diffuser down.
I'd be raging that Irrigator's won that one as well. The slow peak saw the gun first and still lost the ensuing gunfight. Great kill coming out from Irrigator's side. Okay, 4v4, and CYCLOPS find themselves fighting against the clock as well as the last 4 men alive for Talon. Push has got to come through in just a second. Heady will not be finding his kill. About to become James Bond himself with this one. Carries on. Azzy carrying on with his dominant streak finds another. Shut down by Soldier. This might be the kills they need, but a massive spray down from Irrigator inside Logistics. Can he find the last? No, he can't. Demic hides himself away. They know where he is. Or do they? Suzuki's pushing around, sees him inside, gets the headshot in. Shuts down Demic, and CYCLOPS move up to match point off the back of an incredible spray down from Irrigator inside of Logistics.
Tell you what, Des, that position at the end looked very familiar, didn't it?
Didn't it? Oh, shut up.
Hey, one defender left inside a shower, one attacker pushing in from bedroom. Which one were you again, Des? Pretty sure you were the one inside a shower and I won that one out.
How did the hospital trip go for your wrist, mate?
I tell you what, it was needed after that flick. It was nutty.
We played in the game.
It's 2 CYCLOPS.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, I think at the start of the stage, we all looked at how they were playing and we asked Hybrid and he said, oh, you know, we've kind of been a bit out of it really since the major. It's just not gone the way that we wanted. We've sat there and tried to work through it. 3 weeks in, still got problems, and we're like, we really can't fix this. And now it feels like towards the back end of the stage, it's a return to form. It's a little bit too late, sure, but there's still a lot to play for here to give themselves some high spirits going into the off-season, ahead of qualifiers, ahead of SI, all the other things to look forward to. Now, Anderton's back on. Ye old famous, the El Clasico.
How did Talon, in this situation, beat Anderton on a Monty?
Don't know, Tim.
6-1 down, no mistakes left for Talon. They have to win this round and everyone after it. How do they beat CYCLOPS now that they've doubled down and brought Anton?
Well, Tim, I know some teams, maybe one team in particular, that would pay you a lot of money for the answer to that question.
Talon,
and it begins with T. Exactly.
I'd imagine so.
They would pay you a lot of money. Well, that's a nice one. Have I seen that one before?
Yeah, it's the one with like the dragon down the side of it. It's really
oh,
cool.
no.
I really like. Have you not got that one? I've got it.
Oh, my wallet.
Get it. It's good.
Crap.
It's really good.
It's getting drained later again.
It's a nice
Fantastic. Brilliant. I like it. It's very cool.
It is.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
I don't really play the. I'm not really a fan of like single shot rifles.
No.
But for that skin, I'll learn. Yeah. Just for that skin.
I just like to have them there.
Yes, can't hurt. Let's see how it goes. A really heavy like roam clear comp as well coming out of CYCLOPS. You're looking towards the Lion, the Decay Bee. It's the old classic. The only thing you're missing really is the Jackal.
Yep.
But in this case, you've got the Monty stepping in. Still, of course, got the smokes to play behind if so desired.
Aggression.
But knowing Anaton, he doesn't want to play Monty passive. He's the kind of guy that will run at you. He will drop shot you. He has no issue getting up in the face of people.
Absolutely not. 20 seconds in, we already see CYCLOPS moving into the building very confidently. Demic trying to push up those main stairs and just do anything
Robot
to slow
Wars.
things
Woo!
down. We've got a little drone battle going on there, but that's an interesting use of the Yokai that we see, but they've left it completely exposed. It was so easy for Alligator to take it out, using the Yokai in that manner, almost like an attacker drone, getting it out in front of your roaming defenders, trying to pick up some information for them. Not the end of the world, but you've got to try and keep them safe. We've already seen in this game, Des, how impactful those Yokais can be. That's one less for them to work with, and I'm telling you now, the pressure is going to mount quickly on Talon inside of sight.
You might be wondering why they've only got the one hard breach. There is, of course, the hard breach gadget coming in here for the Monty. So no, not leaning in towards playing smokes, but he can open himself up. He can push in by himself here, Ace. There's no worry. Really excited to see what happens, by the way, when the operators wielding the hard breach gets to. That is currently a proposed change as well. They find a very static Echo at this point. He knows that he can't be pushed. He's also wielding the Supernova. We've seen some clutches on this site before using a Supernova. I don't know if you'll find one in this round, especially not coming up against the Monty. But Anaton looks to be the one who may try and solo push his way down through dirt here, Tim.
Anaton just trying a couple of tactics here to get an angle onto the Echo to see the Yokai drone. He just needs to do something about this situation before he pushes in, because the Yokai drone can stun out and lower his shield. But there you see the problem. Echo trying to take the shield away from the Monty, but leaving him self-exposed in the process of doing so. And Anaton, he does not mess about in there with the hip-fire pistol. Bang, bang, bang.
That was the best part. It's the same drop shot that we saw at Mexico. Now he's a little bit stuck here, going to back away. Grenades singing in after him, the impacts that is, as well as smoke canisters. He's drawing so much time and attention. Gadarada rotating himself inside as one frag grenade left to his name. And Suzuki sadly can't quite find the angle, but this drone is giving all the information on what's going on the back of Arsenal. They remove away the Maestro. Suddenly things start looking very, very dire for the defenders.
Panicky here as the nade comes over the top, and what a nade it was onto Heady. Absolutely beautiful, just threading the needle above that Monty shield. But Anaton is down and out, Des. He's been taken out 2 versus 2 now, coming into the final 14 seconds. Can CYCLOPS win it all here, or can Talon hold on? The answer is the second. Talon get themselves round number 2 on the board for them, and that is going to keep us playing here on Clubhouse.
Such a fun round. So much going on.
That was a lot of fun.
And being between the drones and the forcing players back down to site using the line and the Decay Bee between Anaton drop shotting again. I've been dying to see that, and it's just been brought out. It's great to see. But then ultimately, a stalwart hold coming out from the side of Talon looks fantastic. As we mentioned already, it is a very long hill to climb, and I'm not convinced they'll get there, but at the very least, they elongate their chances a little more, because don't forget, they've also got to rotate through to potential offsites, start in the basement, CC next, then I imagine Gym Bedroom will be their offsite, and you think maybe at some point, CYCLOPS can crack that like an egg.
You would expect so. I would, as I say, still be surprised at this, but there's another couple of rounds. You know, Talon need to just be taking this one round at a time. Get it up towards 6-4, you start maybe looking, and we can talk about Talon potentially coming back. But from 5-1 down, and the CYCLOPS side that we've seen so far today, you would still expect within the next few rounds they're going to find somewhere that they can lock down. Because the thing is, Talon have got to find 3 sites that they can successfully defend. Let's not forget, they've already failed in Gym Bedroom, so they've already got to do something that they haven't been able to yet.
Look at the bunker bust essentially coming out from CYCLOPS as well. You've got the Ying on side, so if the Monty falls flat, change it over and bring the Ying instead. Yeet those Candelas into sight. Get yourself pushing in behind the cover of smoke and make a plan happen. And the thing is, there aren't really many C4s available on the side of Talon, just the one on Demic, so now your attention turns towards Denial from Azzy, Denial by the smoke. And speaking of which, it's rare that you see those two come in together, is it? Normally you see one or the other. Think about Playday, for example, playing on BDS.
Yep.
He'll play one or the other, but very rarely do you ever see both across both teams.
Yep.
Despite the initial release or rework of Chanka being greeted with, that's a minute and a half of stall time. No one can ever attack the site again. The game's ruined. And then, wow, surprise, shock, horror, it's not ruined, despite Chanka being buffed.
He's just sort of fallen into a nice little place, hasn't he?
It's the same cycle every single time we have changes
New operator, broken. Oh no, it's
new flashes, broken. Oh, they're just fine.
Panic
Weird.
over it, it's okay. We're managing, it's okay. The Tachanka destruction, of course, is very valuable to the defenders as well. We saw him making quick work of those garage walls to offer the peaks into sight, so the lines of sight are in place. He's going to play himself out of construction now for the remainder of this round, I would imagine, in position to try and bounce those Schumacher-launched grenades into position in the default plant spot if needs be. Now, Demic manages to get an opener onto Ayagator. That's going to be the Sophia Gon, some important utility along with her. Obviously, the ability to clear ADSs, also to stun operators out, could be important, and also the soft wall was still in place there, so we've had to use a Rotero drone, I believe it was now, to open that up.
Yep, finally getting cleared out. I didn't think without a sledge on side or a buck, they'd maybe look towards the Sophia, but with Ayagator dying, they've had to not so much compromise, innovate a little bit and instead use a Rotero. All the Roteros are now down. It's rare to see all four gone by the minute and a half mark. It shows how much work Black Ray has done, either driving them to an early demise or using them highly effectively. Candela comes through. Both smokes are down, but they can't push in because of the smoke. They'll have to run through if they want to try and make this one work. A Soldier finding a kill onto Suzu C. Another Candela comes in, and in he goes. Finds himself one on Catwall, pushing in for the next, but doesn't know where the man might be. The answer is just inside of construction, and I feel like he knows it. C4 over the top. He knows the Kaid is here, but who wins this gunfight? Crouch height, standing height, not quite sure which way to go. Kanos finding another, and Black Ray, he's still miles away at this point. Anderton is basically alone, just waiting for this guy to peek, but he's being so patient, and he should be rewarded for it as well. But Anderton, waiting to give him the reward, the kiss of death, you might say, as we enter the last 45 seconds of the round, Tim.
Right now, there's nothing that Demic actually actively needs to do. The support from Hedy coming in, and Demic has played that beautifully, not getting over aggressive. Hedy finds himself the second in the late round, shuts it down, 6-3. Talon fighting back, one round at a time.
Oh, it's really starting to build up, isn't it? Sure. Again, a couple of rounds that you're looking at and thinking, okay, maybe it's not super decisive, but it's still a round win. You know, Anderton had the right idea, but they were held off by the smoke canisters coming out, couldn't push their way through. And when Anderton finally did burst through, he found his one kill, but couldn't quite connect it into 2 or 3. And by the time he looked around him, once he got to the finish line, no one else was left alive. Black Ray still opening up towards garage door and pushing his way in through there to maybe look for a plan inside of CC. Now we go to the offsite, and this to me is the real test. If Talon win here, they could rotate back round again, do the same thing all over, and CYCLOPS could find themselves pushed through to overtime. So this one is the one that really is going to count. If they win this round, they can go on to win the whole thing, in my opinion, get us to overtime. They lose here, obviously, the game is done. The
problem for Talon, of course, is round 7, where they defended Gym and Bedroom. It came down to a 1v1 that they lost. You would say they were fairly close. It came to a 1v1, but there were some big mistakes in that round, particularly the access that CYCLOPS were allowed into logistics that allowed 2 men.
That skin, by the way, that's the one.
It was the one.
It was the one. It's gone.
You're absolutely right. There was 2 men stood basically by the upturned mattress right in the middle of the room for Talon. They were just in no man's land, and CYCLOPS just moved into logistics and took them both down. It ended up leaving them in a 1v1. If they can fix those mistakes here, if they can recognise that and fix that, then yeah, maybe they get this site done. But it's a site that CYCLOPS have already won, so they're going to be coming in thinking that they can repeat that.
Absolutely. Let's see how things shape up then. If Talon can hold fast in these next 3 minutes, or if CYCLOPS can break open what feels like Fort Knox, unable yet to find a way through. Looking at how things are shaped out, you know, looking again at the kills on the board, we've only seen that, of course, since the rehost, which is why you're not seeing numbers into the double digits. Can't forget he's had a great game so far. Anderton saw Azzy up there earlier on as well. No kills on his side since the rehost, unfortunately, coming in. I think he's currently sat on about 10, but Anderton now finds himself pushing 13+, so a great game for both of those two. And even Kanos, who we said earlier on, was sat at 1 and 5, very, very quiet, also starting to get himself involved in the mix a bit, Ace.
Certainly is. East Breach opened up now, so good quick progress from CYCLOPS. That's going to allow them to push in, take control of CCTV and Cash should they choose to do so. To be honest, there's no real defence there whatsoever. There's no defenders, there's nobody to try and hold it off. There's no resistance in that location on the map. And quick work from Gatarada on the thermite there. You'll love to see it straight up onto the roof, over the top, down in the jacuzzi wall. wall is open as well. So inside of the first minute, that's both breaches done. Gatorada with diffuser in hand. BlackRay starting to work on those windows. And I tell you what, Des, I wouldn't like to be a defender on the side of Talon right now, because this site's getting opened up like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to send the Roteros in, but so far, again, I mean, I'll give it to Anderton and to CYCLOPS in general. Last round, it was BlackRay, I think. Really quick at getting them deployed out and rolling. They were through all 4 by this point in the previous round. Anderton's currently on his 3rd. I think they were trying to chuck a couple of explosives out there, but nothing really connecting either way you look at it. And there's one coming in. What a great nade! Bounced over the bed. Straight out the other side, onto Azzy, and that's the opener. BlackRay, a second, starting to come alive in this round as he moves to 3 since the rehost. Only 3 more to find, and CYCLOPS walk away the winners, and they've got so much time to do it still, Tim. 75 seconds to play with.
Absolute beauty. Gatorada looking to push in now. Talon, they need to find a way, Des. They need to start finding kills. BlackRay gets aggressive. It does the job. He doesn't get the kill himself, but he is allowing the trade. Heady once again, we've seen his ability in the late round so far. Canos goes big. Kill on to Gatorada. We've got Anderton down. Does Ayagator take the opportunity? Is he going to risk it, Des? Because it is a big risk indeed. Now then, the kill comes in. It's secured. It's all up to Ayagator. 1 versus 2. There's a man led prone. Can't find the angle onto him. Ayagator's got time here. He can switch it up. He can mix it around if he chooses to, but he just needs to be careful about exposing himself. Manages to get the stun, which could allow him to push in. He knows roughly where the Talon player is located, but Canos, he's just going to play this patient. Gets himself in behind the weight stack. Doesn't need to push his luck. Heady gets the final kill, and what did I say, Des? If we can see ourselves at 6-4, maybe we can start talking about a Talon comeback, and that is where we find ourselves right now. 6-4, they've locked down the offside. They can cycle back through church. CCTV, Talon might top spot.
No, I've definitely tanked it in the second half of the season this year.
So I think, yeah, as you say, we'll see how it. I mean, Talon are going to have to. It's going to have to be a great escape for me here if Talon are going to bring this back. But we're only 2 rounds away now, Des.
I'm glad they've had the time out there to have a chat, because I was going to say, the Monty actually worked quite well.
It did.
Outside of a little bit of over-aggression coming in from Anderton towards the back end of the round, it looked pretty good. And look at this. A Glaz being brought in at the last second, dropping away their 3rd hard breach. I imagine here, if you are on the side of Talon, you're reading into that and saying, wait, Monty had a hard breach earlier on. They had 1 hard breacher with them. Now suddenly they've got 3? That doesn't sound right, which suggests there might be something funky coming in that last pick, and here it's going to be the Glaz. So whether or not Anderton has gone across to smokes might be a different deal maker as well, because more smokes equals more power ultimately coming in for Suzu-C. Keep a close eye on that one and see what damage he can do, but forgive me, Suzu-C, but it's not really the guy I look at and say, pop off on Glaz. Not the one that I give that thought to. I give it to someone like normally Anderton, who, as we've already seen, can do great with those single-shot rifles, as we've seen out of the DKB already.
This is it. You look at the situation and you think, the dice are certainly being thrown by CYCLOPS here. They want to get it done. They want to get it over the line. And you just wonder sometimes when those sort of bold picks come out, you think, are they grasping a little too hard at this? Is this an overstretch? And I don't mean that specifically for CYCLOPS. I mean sort of teams in general. But when you really bring in that off pick, it's like when you haven't normally played Lion and you just all of a sudden bring the Lion along. You think, is it a little bit of a desperation pick to try and get it done?
It can be sometimes, definitely, if it's not a normal pick. However, Lion, pretty strong at the minute with the Gon 6, let's not forget. Those initial Roteros raining in. And we've already said before about how quick BlackRay was. All 4 of his were out inside 1:30 previously. One's already gone down to help them get a vertical inside a kitchen, just to make the players of Talon sweat, who may be playing in the back end of Arsenal. But everyone's focus currently are looking up towards the north side. Drones raining all throughout the first floor. I'll be slightly concerned about what's going on upstairs as well, Tim, because this is a tried, tested, proven SSG roam coming out, with the only real flex pick being on the whole lineup, the Canos on the Melusi, only to slow them down if they do try and go for a rush.
Ayagator just pushing himself into construction there. He's going to find himself head-to-head with a defender very soon, and this is exactly why you have the mute jammers, Des, because now he needs to face check it. He knows there's likely somebody playing in and around there, but there's no way that he can get a handle on Demic's actual location here. Although, you wonder if there is a bit of information maybe coming in from logistics or something, because he certainly fired in the right direction, but it's also a common spot for Demic to be hiding. Now then, that is cheeky from him. He looks to make the challenge, and he gets it, Des! What an opener from Demic there. Big brain play, opening up the rotation with the Nitro, rolling the dice, taking the chance, and he's come up with a double six. He's absolutely smashed it out.
It's very weird for him to be upstairs by himself as well as a Thermite nonetheless when the rest of the team are focused on the site. Soldier finding another one. Smokes are out, but the Gatorada, well, CYCLOPS unable to do anything at the minute playing on the glass. They've got the vertical hold as well, but this means this is a very readable attack coming in from Talon. Two are in dirt, one's playing kitchen hatch. They can deal with this, and they're still trying to find something. But Talon not giving them an inch, barely budging, giving them nothing to play behind except for the one from the vertical. The retrade comes in above, a C4 lands onto CYCLOPS. This is going to be a shutout. Talon will be able to step themselves up to round 12, sorry, a 6-5 scoreline to CYCLOPS. And now I'm worried. Can CYCLOPS pull this one back, actually? Or is it Talon on the attacking side, on the defensive side, pulling off some magic?
4 rounds in a row for Talon, and we could be heading to overtime. CYCLOPS have got one last opportunity. They've had 5 rounds to close this out, Des, and they've been unable to so far. This is their 5th and final opportunity at that match point before we go into overtime. Now, I think I'm right in saying as well, CYCLOPS would need, I think they're looking for a full 3. I don't know if they necessarily need it. We'll obviously see when we get back to the analyst desk. There's a lot of potential permutations here depending on results. I'm not going to get too carried away into what happens in terms of those playoffs. As it stands at the minute, you can see CYCLOPS go up into 4th spot, but we'll see how that develops depending on this 12th round and beyond. So Talon still fighting, 6-1 down at a point. They have come all the way back to 6-5. This could be practically, Des, a full reverse sweep, not too far away, only 1 round shy, and right now Talon are in the driving seat. They are in charge of this one.
They've got the smoke and the Chanker again. Of course, worth mentioning, Hedy did bring this in the previous iteration of this defense. He does bring along the FMG, knowing that you've got the Chanker for all the site rotations that you could possibly ever need. Because, of course, that primary rifle does do a lot of work on that side, plus a couple of impacts if required on the side of Soldier. On the other side, it's the Monty still sticking in, so falling back to the old-school crutch almost for CYCLOPS. I mentioned that there is like I think it's a 32% ban rate in the Japanese league, which has now ended, but there was a 32% ban rate of Monty there, purely because of Anaton and what he can do with the operator. So a strong reliance on that, and this time round, 3 hard breaches coming into the table. We haven't seen that so far. They have picked away from it every time we've seen it potentially be a thing. So as the game has gone by, CYCLOPS have been like, more firepower, more explosions? Yeah, sounds good. Hopefully that gets us the win. As it stands so far, it's not quite been effective.
Not as of yet, as it's just looking to open up those vertical angles as well to provide an opportunity should anybody trying to get themselves in. Free utility to the Rotero there. Losing an ADS, losing a deployable shield and making Hedy's life a lot more difficult at the top of red stairs there. And of course, as the Smokey is particularly important to this defence. They lost the Tachanka early in the round last time around, but they managed. It wasn't a big problem, but lose that smoke as well, and it could be a different story. Now then, Aziz managing to take down that Rotero drone, protecting more of that defensive utility. Blackray's going to try from another side here. He's going to send him in through the breach. This time it's going to be up to the smoke. I don't think that's been success. Yes, there we go. Aziz once again managing to shoot it out. They're trying to clear that garage catwalk, Des, but completely unsuccessful so far.
Sure, they really want the shield of all things as well. Steps up but doesn't quite see it. Now he's going to be forced to move away. It took a little bit longer than maybe necessary, but as he will be moved at least temporarily back inside a cache. So with that power position cleared, they can play the breach a little more clearly now, but be wary of Canos also playing on the downstairs. Anaton going to start his walk, his ascent up towards catwalk where Soldier still lurks. But due to losing out those Roteros, they can't comfortably clear out the 2 ADSs that are sat up there with him, meaning he should be a little more dug in than maybe CYCLOPS would like.
Let's not forget, Soldier's playing on the Legion as well, so those goo mines are going to be a big problem to Anaton on the shield. So whilst he's still in position, Anaton really cannot just push up those stairs. He's very likely to lose that fight if he's on his own. So something that CYCLOPS need to figure out sooner rather than later. Aziz destroys Suzuki, and a second with a trade onto Ayagator. 4 versus 3. They're doing it, Des. Talon are fighting back. They're going to take us to overtime if this continues. Gatorada with a nade onto Aziz. 3 versus 3, and we are ticking by. Seconds on the clock, but Anaton is established inside a garage.
But weirdly, the diffuser was inside a construction here. Here comes the swing in as well. Blackray finding one. Can he find the second? No. It's a trade back for Canos, a 2 versus 2. They know where he is, but who's going to win this gunfight? It's a dance. There's a second. There's one more. Can he clutch it out in the 1 versus 1? Demic to take your team through to overtime. overtime here. 30 seconds on the clock. He wins it out. Talon send us through into overtime. How have they pulled this back from 6-2 down?
Des, what are they doing to me? They are running this all the way back in. 5 rounds in a row. Talon fighting. Where was this Talon in the first half?
Asleep? I honestly think it just looks at how the halves have played out. It's a 5-1 half for either team on the defensive side. CYCLOPS, that round was the closest opportunity they had. But a big clutch out from Demic at the end in the 1v1. A real scrap around the white corridor. It's beautiful.
Talon are defending, Des.
Oh boy.
We've just seen 5-1 halves in both directions in favour of the defenders. And after coming back with
Demic.
5 defensive rounds in a row, some of them scrappy, some of them coming down to nail-biting finishes, but Talon still getting them over the line, and on the scoreboard, Talon continue on the defence.
I swear Demic was like 1-5 in the first half. He was on the Maverick. He was like 0-4, 0-5, and we were like, oh man, he can't get himself started. He's losing out on the early spawn peaks that are coming through. He's aggressing onto players that maybe you don't want your Maverick player doing on entry. He has been lights out since things have got back underway. 7-1 he currently sits at. Unbelievable. CYCLOPS, no doubt at this point, backs against the wall are like, ah, crap. What do we do to fight our way back in? Because what we've tried for the last 6 rounds has only worked once. But we're kind of stuck. We've got to try again. iGate are moving away from the Aces going on to the Zofia. I'm not convinced that's going to be the knockout change they need. However, it will help them deal with things at range, like the shields, like burning through ADSs, whatever else it might need to be. They've got 2 shields to burn through. That's the one to watch out for.
It certainly is. The setup goes on. As this last time around, playing the Echo out of Dirt Tunnel, was bullied by Anaton and was able to be cleared out. That's something that they really need to deal with. They don't have any of the traps that they had last time around. Does have smoke from Hedy, who could potentially support him in staying in that position. Gatorada moving in quickly here, going to look to potentially take out that Moto Hatch. We've got Irrigator looking to get established inside a garage, and this has been pretty much a theme for CYCLOPS, has been getting inside of the map quickly. It's something that they've done well.
Indeed, now it's about the push forward. I mean, you've got the Monty, which of course is very slow. It's about saving time for him to get in the right spot. We've just seen a constant Dirt Tunnel push coming in every single time from Anaton. I'm not sure it will be the same sort of vibe here if they'll try and push in from somewhere else, whether it's down main stairs, it could be down blue. They have got choices to play with, but a multi-angle setup already being established here. You saw Anaton just a second ago at the top side of Dirt. Oh no, Canos. No, he got caught by the rotate that wasn't fully done. And he's done as a result.
I don't know if he was crouched or not. I felt like
he was. I'm pretty sure he was.
I was going to say for a second, I was like, I didn't think
awful.
he was crouched, but this just goes to show Des how the smallest things can have the biggest of impact. Gatorada is going to be down by a C4 there, picked up by Suzuki, but still damage is done. 5 versus 4. Evil Eye camera being used to take out the drones that are coming in. The Echo drone looking for the Monty, but not going to find him, as Anaton this time looks like he's going to push in from the main stairs instead. Talon, they're only a man down, not the end of the world on this bottom floor site. There is still lots of ways to burn time. There are still kills to be found. This one is far from over.
All right, then. Well, I mean, Gatorada's back on his feet. No one can bring Canos back from the grave. Unfortunately, the swing coming out from Hedy. Great play. Can he find the next? No, he can't. Suzuki wins that one out. And Anaton finding another on the drop through. It's a 4 versus 2. Have CYCLOPS finally broken the chain? Will they find themselves an attacking win? Demic sat on the far back. They have no idea that it's here. If Anaton checks, I'm sure he'd know, but he's too scared about the player back in towards AKs. Here he goes to the 1 versus 1 on the Monty, but can't quite win the next. 3 flood into sight, and CYCLOPS flood through the scoreboard. They move up to 7 and 6 and get a critical attacking win. Talon are going to have to dig deep here, Tim.
They really are. That, as you say, is critical. It is a death blow to Talon, potentially. You always felt like, despite the scoreline, CYCLOPS were just that little bit better on attack for me than Talon were. It still went 5-1 in either direction, but a couple of the rounds were pushed close by CYCLOPS, whereas Talon, they really felt like they were out of the depth when they were on the attack, and I'm not confident that they can do this, Des, but, well, they've shown a lot of heart so far to get us to this point, and anything is possible in this matchup.
Tim, don't tell me you're writing them off now.
No, anything is possible. I've just said it at the end there, Des. Anything is possible in this matchup, but I do feel I do feel that the odds favour CYCLOPS on the defence.
Might be a step too far as you fear. Maybe you're right, who knows? The Jackal being 6 picked in there by Canos to help them deal with. And it feels like a long time since we've said that now. Approximately 7 rounds have passed. The roam game that comes out of CYCLOPS. We've touched on it a few times. Blackray off doing his thing. Need to be so careful of the Kapkan as well. We saw in the prior round, 3 of them went off, 2 of them killing 1 player. It was a disaster when it comes to dealing with utility on the side of Talon. And Anaton once again is going to step onto the Echo. Do not imagine you'll see Talon letting it get away with the same thing again.
I wouldn't have thought so. As you say, if they do get down into that position, they're going to be very, very careful about making sure that they've got those Yokais fine. We've got the Kapkan brought along. We saw how powerful that can be. We even saw a straight-up death from one of the EDDs, which is quite unusual, but it was certainly the case last time the Kapkan was brought along, so we'll keep an eye on that, see if that has too much of an impact here. If nothing else, it will slow any potential attack down, especially when combined with Gatorada on the Legion as well. Going to make it very difficult. You've got Malusi on the Banshee. Just everything here from CYCLOPS screams delay, delay, delay.
Doesn't it just slow them down as best you can, see how much time they can waste? Now, we commented a couple of times that CYCLOPS would lose 2 or 3 players out on the roam, and for Talon in a 5 versus 2 or 5 versus 3, it was a dream scenario. But on the flip side, they would then often lose those rounds, coming down to clutches or lately timed executes. All kinds of things came back to bite them. So here I'm thinking surely there's been something they've learned from that second half. Some level of warm-up they've done that could make this a different result. For now, it's trying to deal with those on their own. The Kapkan on the top floor. You've got Blackray playing around inside a lounge, so a good mix to deal with here. Great swing coming in from Talon onto Iragator. It isn't Blackray, whose name he's had all game so far, but you'll take the opening freebie for sure.
That's it, and with Blackray still out on the roam, if they can pick him up as a second, you're then looking at a 5 versus 3, and it starts to get a little bit hairy. Gatorada as well, he really did play his life last time and chanced his luck. He will take a lot of damage there, and he needs to be careful to get out of dodge, Des, but I'm not sure that he can do it. You've got silhouettes on every single side of him. He's getting pinched in here, and I think it's going to be very difficult. The best that Gatorada can do is take one with him. Canos takes the shots through the wall, but just cannot find the man. Somehow he's still alive, Des. He takes another bullet, but eventually shut down by Canos on the Jackal. 5 versus 3, and Talon have woken up on the attack, Des. They've found their teeth, they've found their bite, and they're currently taking chunks out of CYCLOPS.
The thing is, Tim, we've been here before. We've seen it twice already. They got themselves into a 5 versus 3. They dealt with the roam game and then crumbled on the execute. It has to be different this time. It absolutely has to be. Or CYCLOPS take the 3 points in the closing game of the APAC season in 2021. Canos on the push down main stairs. There's a loose idea that is coming down as Suzu C still loosely holding off to the angle here. This time around, at least those rotates will work. It's not quite the same travesty that we saw for Talon in the prior round. Azzy getting to work from above, a little bit of sight transformation on the go to make sure no one's playing deep Arsenal or inside of the hallway. And with about 40 seconds to play, Talon know they've got 15-20 seconds here to get ready for the execute before go time is called.
Out comes the nade, forces Suzuki away from the double door of Church there. Not going to do any real damage. Canos just holding the angle there. Still with his Inox scanner on. Needs to just be aware of that. Going to take a scan of the footprints there, but there we go. Takes it off and ready for any gunfights. It's not the end of the world, but it could be the difference maker. Canos just holding his angle there. A man pushes up onto the Ash Rush spot. Blackray, Anaton, Iragator. It's big and it's an EDD. There's Canos. He gets
Soldier.
1. 2 versus 2. It is all down to these final 7 seconds. Who is going to come out on top here? Can Talon keep themselves fighting? No! Anaton, Blackray, take a bow. You managed to secure the win for CYCLOPS in what has been a very hard-fought matchup. And what a treat we saved to the end of APAC North.
What a game we've just ended the season on. Yeah, spectacular from start to finish. It looked like a CYCLOPS rollover at 5-1, only for Talon to dish the punishment back out in the second half. CYCLOPS with that critical